What we found is now with technology, when we truly started to understand what a living trust was, which is a legal contract between you and your beneficiaries that the courts help enforce. An attorney doesn't have to write the living trust. The living trust just has to have the legal language that is enforced by each state. So when we decided to invest money into the software, we paid estate planning attorneys to create the software that can help people a done for you estate planning software with unlimited updates. We decided to start sharing this with our customers. Now that we did the investment to go nationwide and have the right language per state, we started to come into, get into podcasting to have the awareness. When I started to hear that 68% of homeowners don't have a living trust, I come to the conclusion that they don't have a living trust to protect their family from probate. The reason why they don't have it is because they don't know about it. So thank you for allowing us and helping us in our awareness campaign that we're having right now to let the world know, or let every homeowner, to prevent probate, get their estate plan.
But I am the world's biggest super fan.
You're like a super fan.
Welcome to the Business Superfans Podcast. We will discuss how establishing business superfans from customers, employees, and business partners can elevate your success exponentially. Learn why these advocates are a key factor to achieving excellence in the world of commerce. We discuss the invaluable insights of business owners who have successfully implemented the strategies in the book to build their own team of devoted superfans. Gain insightful knowledge from the experts who create applications that help you create passionate superfans. This is the Business Superfans Podcast with your host, Freddie D.
Ready!
Oscar Vasquez is the founder of EstateDocPrep.com. Did you know that 68% of Americans don't have a valid will or estate plan? For homeowners, this means their loved ones could face the harsh reality of lengthy, expensive probate processes, often losing up to 8% of the estate's value in fees. Oscar specializes in helping families avoid these unnecessary burdens by creating living trusts and other essential legal documents. He brings practical insights, real-life examples, and a clear message. Estate planning isn't just for the wealthy. It's for anyone who wants to protect their home, assets, and family.
Welcome, Oscar, to the Business Superfans Podcast. How are you this morning?
You know what? I'm excited and full of energy to be able to come in and share our story with you guys. So thank you for having me.
Oscar, we're excited to have you on the show and interested to know about your story of how you came up with EstateDocPrep.com.
Well, it's an interesting story because we're in the real estate space. I've been a real estate broker for the last 28 years. One of the things we found is that we would refer people to attorneys, and it would take 60, 90 days to create a living trust to protect our customers. What we found is now with technology, when we truly started to understand what a living trust was, which is a legal contract between you and your beneficiaries that the courts help enforce. An attorney doesn't have to write the living trust. The living trust just has to have the legal language that is enforced by each state. So when we decided to invest money into the software, we paid estate planning attorneys to create the software that can help people a done for you estate planning software with unlimited updates. We decided to start sharing this with our customers. Now that we did the investment to go nationwide and have the right language per state, we started to come into, get into podcasting to have the awareness. When I started to hear that 68% of homeowners don't have a living trust, I come to the conclusion that they don't have a living trust to protect their family from probate. The reason why they don't have it is because they don't know about it. So thank you for allowing us and helping us in our awareness campaign that we're having right now to let the world know, or let every homeowner, to prevent probate, get their estate plan. In a nutshell, in a Reader's Digest version, that's probably how we got into it. And now we're on a crusade to let every homeowner know that an estate plan is now affordable, no longer complicated. And more importantly, it's not for the wealthy, it's for anybody that is a homeowner.
I have a friend I mentioned to you before in our conversation via email that was in estate planning for business owners. And I think that what you're doing not only applies to people that own houses, but there's a lot of business owners that don't have an estate plan for their business. And God forbid something happens to them. What happens to the business? What happens to their family and the employees and everything else? So I think there's a bigger market than just homeowners, and that is the business owner, because the guy that's got the landscaping business, the pool cleaner, a multitude of those people, I can bet you that probably 80% of them don't have an estate plan for their business.
It's an interesting story. Pedro and his wife owned a small bakery, and we helped them get an estate plan, and we ended up putting an estate plan into their business. Pedro, one of the things that he did is he started to plan everything and put everything in the estate plan. So when the successors came, or if they were going to sell the business and be able to do that, he created standard operating procedures on how to make the Mexican bread. He got sick, passed away, but the estate plan, one, kept the business running because he had an estate plan in place. Two, none of the accounts were frozen because, if you have substantial assets, your accounts can be frozen.
Sure.
Because he had an estate plan in place, one of the things that he had as a business owner was what's called key person insurance. The beneficiary was the living trust, and that's how they hired the bakers when he had the estate plan. And knows to me, and this is something that I learned, is that estate planning, if you include your business, becomes 100% write-off
Sure.
because it's a plan for that.
Right. And now what you've done, though, unfortunately, Pedro passed away, but his family are super fans of what you set them up with, because the business didn't fall apart. It continued forward. And had that not been in place, that would have never happened. That family
Yeah.
are super fans of what you did for their family.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? It's funny that you say super fans. What a great definition, because I haven't paid for Mexican bread since they've put that all in there, even when Pedro was around. But I think that when you say super fans, if you take the time to really take into consideration when you're creating your estate plan, it becomes an easier transition for your beneficiaries and your heirs. But you take the time while you're alive. And I always tell them, they always thank me. And I said, don't thank me. Thank your father for taking it serious and planning.
Mm-hmm.
The estate plan is for us while we're alive, and we can change it and make adjustments and add as much information as we can to it. We keep adding to it, and we can take things out. But more importantly, the more time that you think about your estate plan, the more things you want to add and the more things that you want to have documented. So that way your legacy continues to go on. I mean, one of the grandkids is now planning to expand the bakery into different distributions because he was reading some of the stuff that his grandfather would always wish. Well, I always said, look, there's letters that you can leave in the living trust if you want them. And these are the things that people go back and read and be able to comprehend about what your thoughts are, what is the ultimate dream. And that's one of the things that having the estate plan, the legacy that Pedro left behind, was that he documented what he really wanted. And now one of his grandkids is taking that distribution to a whole nother level by being able to do that.
Right, because they understand the vision. And so now they appreciate the vision. And now they're saying, okay, let's take this and let's execute it. And let's take our grandfather's vision and make it a reality. So that's really cool. So Oscar, how does your software tailor estate planning for individual and business owners' needs across the 50 states?
Yeah, so what it does, it's a series of questions. When you decide to use our software, we don't just give you a software, do it by yourself. We do a one-on-one. We have financial planners that work with you called estate planning coordinators, and they go through that process. And what we do is we give you ideas on how to come into. I'll give you an example. Now that we've been dealing with a lot of different businesses, we started to add digital assets like YouTube channels. We had a gentleman that does faceless YouTube channels, and he started to put those into the trust. But before I go into that, let me answer that question. So how that process works is you go into the website. If you're listening to this podcast on Superfans, we created a Superfans discount code for any listener. Go to our website, estate.prep.com, and go to the checkout page and save $1,000 by using coupon code SUPERFANS. If you use that, it'll save it. And so then what's going to happen after you check out and sign up, you're going to get a link and create a login and password. Then there is another link to schedule a call. So we walk you through the entire process of creating your estate plan. It's usually somebody that's a licensed. It'll be me or one of my partners or a referral partner. We have referral partners with real estate agents and financial planners in your state, wherever you are. We walk you through the process. You can literally create your estate plan and protect your home, because that's the number one reason, right? So then we walk you through it and you answer all the questions. Do you have any beneficiaries? Do you have any kids? In my case, I have one child, but I have a lot of nephews, right? And they're the ones that work in our businesses. So we would say some of the beneficiaries are my nephews and my nieces. And so some of those are my beneficiaries. So it's a series of questions, and then the document based off of the state, zip code, and county that you're in, the document gets created to your living trust. And then it has unlimited amount of funding letters. What does that mean? Funding letters, which is more important than anything else, if you go to an attorney, they're not going to fund your estate. They're going to give you instructions and say, here, good luck. And you need to go fund it. We walk you through the process and we fund it with you. We help you and walk you through the process to make sure that your home gets funded into the estate. Because if it doesn't get funded, it's not protected. In other words, if the home or the business or the stock or the asset is not in the living trust, it will need to go to probate. Every state has a limitation of how much asset it needs to go into probate. So that's how we started that process, and how it works is we walk you through the entire process. All we say is we'll walk you through that entire process. I'll give you an example. Like Pedro, one of the things we created his estate plan for his business that he got was what's called key person insurance. If you have an insurance where you have the key person of that business, in order to keep that business growing, he had a policy for, it was like $98 a month. It was $1 million that the business got, because when he passes, to be able to replace him and to keep the business going.
Right. So we talked about that earlier. So that was really the benefit. So what are the things that differentiate your platform versus traditional estate planning? Let's go down that road a little bit there, Oscar.
So look, the difference between the platform, first, let's cover cost, which is the biggest, that's the elephant in the room, right? What does it cost? If you go to an estate attorney, it's going to cost anywhere from $3,500 to the highest I've seen in estate plan is $15,000, right? The minimum I've seen is $3,500. Now, there's other softwares, but these softwares are not comprehensive. And what that means is that they're not a complete estate plan. What does that mean? That means that they don't have a guardianship plan. If you have young children, what's going to happen to your kids? And who are you going to choose for guardian? They don't have a healthcare power of attorney. And more importantly, if they do, we have a comprehensive one, which is called a HIPAA waiver. If you go to the doctor and you're the spouse, they'll tell you what's going on. but they won't release the records because you didn't have a HIPAA waiver. That means they'll tell you this is what's going on with him, but you won't have the records to get a second opinion. That's the two. The third and most important thing is that you get unlimited updates and unlimited revisions with the software. I've seen attorneys charge $1,200 to just make a small change, to take that somebody that passed, added a family member, because in estate planning, there is no such thing as make changes. You have to do what's called a restatement. A restatement means that you have an estate plan and then somebody passes or somebody is born, you put another estate plan on top of it
Supersedes the previous one.
that supersedes the previous one. That is correct. So that's why the estate plan starts at 150 pages. And the longer that you're in it, the more changes, sometimes it becomes a 500-page document.
Right.
Because there's so many changes. And I like to use the story of the tattooed son-in-law that marries your daughter. He's good for three things, right? Partying, partying, and partying. But you don't want him to inherit it. So you want to make a change that if something were to happen to your daughter, that those funds or that estate, instead of going to your daughter, goes to your grandchildren and not your tattooed son-in-law.
Got it.
You know, so
No.
those are some of the reasons why you want updates, and that's why it's in there. So those are probably the three biggest thing. Comprehensive, and I'll do a quick review. Comprehensive, it's a comprehensive living trust. 2, you can get it done in as little as 3 days if you want it done, as long as you get it notarized. And 3, you get unlimited updates. That in itself pays for itself after the first or second update.
Great information, Oscar, because I'm sure that a lot of people really don't understand what's all involved in estate planning. So good overview of your platform and how the system works and the benefit that they get out of the system. That's excellent information for our listeners. Now, let's go into why you. Why would we pick you out of everybody else? What makes you different, or your platform different than everybody else? We talked a little bit about that before the show, so let's go down that road a little bit.
I'm going to tell you, I think that the number one reason most people choose to do business with me is because the relationship starts when we start to do business, and it doesn't end. And that means, and I think this is the perfect show to say that we create super fans, because our relationship starts when you start to do business with me. And the relationship, what I mean by that, I'll give you an example of some of the things that we do to create a long-term relationship with our customers. One is we have, if you're local, we have a special event. 2, one of the biggest things that we have is that we've been known, and we say this when we get people's birthdays, we've been known to give away winning lottery tickets. And right now we're up to about $450 a month. On the birthday month, we send you a lottery ticket. We do it on the first of the month. We buy them all on the first Monday of the month. And then we mail them out with a little note that says, Oscar, you're a estate expert, win $1 million on me. And if you win, don't forget about me. And then we give them with smiley face and we send them a winning lottery ticket. We haven't had anybody win big money. Like, I think the most we've ever had somebody win was $5,000.
Something, but here's the thing. One of the things I talk a lot about is the importance of someone's birthday, because it could be the only birthday card received, and you're adding a gift into that, which is really super cool.
It's $1. That's the best part. It's $1.
It's $1, but it's not the amount of money. It's the act that's the difference, because the impact on that individual is, wow, my estate planning / real estate guy sent me a birthday card, and that's the only birthday card I got.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I paused there, because that's so profound, because you've just created a super fan out of that person for life, because you took the time to recognize their life.
You don't want to hear the number one call that I get. I would say I probably get 30, 40, 50 calls. And it's either a call or a text. And they say, you know what? This is classic. If I win, I'm going to look you up, bro. Thank you. Thank you for that. What a great gift. And then they would say, dude, I didn't win. Do I get another one next month? But it's a classic. And the number of referrals that come from that is.
You can't buy that.
Yeah.
You can't buy that PR. What you've done is you've created out of your customers, you've created them into brand advocates. I just call them business super fans because I think it's a cooler, better name.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's a more powerful name because super fans trump advocates. Think of a sports team. A super fan is the diehard fan of that sports team. So you've created diehard fans of your business and they're promoting everywhere. And, like I said earlier, you can't buy that kind of PR. And, when someone contacts you from one of those referrals, it's a done deal right off the bat.
Absolutely.
Because Miguel says, you got to talk to my buddy Oscar. Federico comes along and says, hey, Oscar. Miguel says, I need to talk to you on my estate planning.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. And, here's a nugget for anybody that's listening that's in the business world. I get a lot of people that always say, dude, how do you sell so much? How do you become that? And I'm going to say it's a simple question, and I would call it the silver question when it comes to how to get people's birthday. And it goes something like, Frederick, I just wanted to get your birthday because we have been known to give away winning lottery tickets on your birthday month. Would you like to participate? 90, almost 100%. I mean, most people chuckle and they say, bro, you really do that? I say, yeah, I do every month.
Yeah,
right.
It's clever marketing. I'm sure you've heard of a guy named Joe Girard. He was a car salesman from, I think it was Marola Chevrolet back in the 70s. And he's written a book, and he's in the Guinness Book of World of Records for the most car sales. What he did was he recognized people on their life events. So whether it was a birthday, whether it was a marriage, whether it was a new addition to the family or a subtraction to the family, aka someone passing away, he recognized everybody on their life events. People would be lined up to buy a Chevrolet from him, multi-people deep in line to wait to get a chance to buy a car from Joe Girard. The parents bought, the children bought, their children bought, because he maintained those type of relationships. And all he did was recognize people in their life events. That's it. Nothing else.
In the summer, we rent a snow cone machine. I do a post and I say, hey, if you're in the local area, I'm going to be giving away free snow cones. Come by and say hi. And I tell the guy, listen, I'm going to pay for every snow cone. We either do that or we usually tell him, listen, I'll pay if nobody shows up, or I'll pay depending on how many people show up. The most I've had in a 2.5 hour, 3 hour period was 250 people that would come by for a free snow cone. And I would say that you could come, but bring your kid, bring your kids and bring them in. And, and I would just, do fist pounds and how you doing? Great. Nice to, hey, thanks for coming. And then I did, what can we do? I said, you know what? 2 things. 1, pray for me, or 2, let people know that I'm the guy.
It's the little things that become the big things.
Yeah.
If you think about that marketing approach, it's a very cost-effective marketing approach, because what you're doing is you're bringing people in. It's kind of like in the customer appreciation. I used to work with a diabetes doctor back in Michigan, and he's world-renowned. Once a year, he would have a customer appreciation luncheon on a Saturday. And he's rain or shine, it was in the parking lot. If it was raining, they could move everything to the covered parking lot. But what was really cool about it was his staff would be there. All his suppliers would be there for the insulin and everything else. They would have good Mediterranean healthy food. I would go there to get video testimonials of his customers. But more importantly, they could interact with the suppliers, the staff. And it wasn't the 10-minute appointment. Patients got a chance to actually build some relationships with these people. And his business has just exploded and still going, and he's still working, and he could retire easily, but he loves what he does. He's got a fan base that's just incredible, similar to what you're doing.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that becomes a super fan for our customers is when their family avoids probate, because the number one reason people get an estate plan is to event probate. In California alone, the minimum amount of money that you spend on probate if you don't have an estate plan is $26,000.
That's
26,000.
crazy.
It's the minimum. Now, every state in the land has a different amount. But imagine so and so just passed, and I just wanted to call and say thank you because we got the transfer of the property. The estate is settled. And thank you for preparing that. And thank you for helping us avoid that. I always say it wasn't me. I just provided the service, the software, and I just provided the idea. The person that protected you, the person that is no longer here, you should
Right.
thank that person. So if you have a family, you have a business, you have any sort of asset, minimum, a home or a business, a digital asset, anything of value, create an estate plan in order to protect your beneficiaries from the federal government deciding. Now, I would say there's two types of estate plan. One is where you do nothing and you allow the government to decide what happens to your books, your publishing, your digital, your business, your home, your kids. That's what probate means. Probate is a nice word of saying, we're going to decide what happens to you, to your things when you're no longer here. Because we're here.
I know my dad, when he passed away, my dad did not have anything in place. And I was the executor of the estate. And it was a nightmare. And it cost a fortune to get it through probate. This
What are you
is,
in?
and this is 30 some years ago. And it still was a nightmare.
Here's another thing on one of the nightmares that most people don't realize that it's not even the cost. That's the first nightmare, right? The first pain, the first one. The second thing that people have by not having an estate plan, the second thing is that you don't even get access to the money for anywhere from 6 to 18 months. That means the
Right.
court hangs on to it because they want to be able to say, hey, is there anybody out there that Oscar owes, or is there anybody that knows, because it becomes public and they tell everybody, this guy's got money, he owns
Right.
a house, well, this is how much we're holding,
Or business,
or
or,
business.
airplane, a boat,
Doesn't
whole-
matter.
doesn't matter.
That's the second. And the most important, I think, of all of that is the pain and suffering and the bickering that happens between the dad wanted this, dad wanted that, or mom wanted this.
Yeah, you bring up a great point because there's enormous infighting. And I know for a fact, because I went through it with siblings and perceptions. I have a saying that an individual's perception is their own reality, right or wrong. You can't condemn their perception because
Right.
it's their perception. Again, right or wrong, that's how that person views it. So you have to learn to respect their view. You don't have to agree with it, but that's their perception.
Yeah, I
And
get that.
and it becomes a prime. So yeah, what you're doing is really beneficial for a lot of people. So again, I'm going to state the website. The estate.prep.com is a platform that I think is important for people to take a look at. If they don't have anything, they should really look into utilizing your platform to set something up.
We have a 24-hour artificial intelligence assistant that you could call at 805-909-4689. Ask any questions about estate planning. She won't give you legal advice. It's not a real person, but it sounds like a real person's. You could actually have a conversation about estate planning. And if she can't answer, she's on a learning process. So she tries to answer as much as she possibly can. But if not, she'll transfer you to me, or she'll book a call so I can get on the phone with you at no charge. We are a software company that helps you make your estate planning a seamless. I can give you one example that I'd like to share. Mr. Becerra was in the hospital. They called me. I've been handling a lot of his property management on his real estate, and he was there, got in an accident on a Thursday, went in, he got conscious on a Friday, came in, created the estate plan right there on the spot. We just wanted everything to to get split up equally to all of his kids. We created it. We went in there. We got a notary to come in, notarize it, because to make an estate plan a legal document, there's 3 things that has to happen. 1 is it needs to be notarized. 2, it needs to be signed in front of 2 witnesses. And 3, it needs to be recorded. And it needs to be refunded, which means the properties need to be recorded. And we did it on Saturday. We went in on Monday, recorded. He passed away that Friday. I don't think any attorney could have ever gotten an estate plan done that quickly, but because of the software that we have available, we can sit there and just type it in, ask the questions, and get them all done. So I would just say this, now that you know, because I think there's so many people that don't have an estate plan for their business or for their property or for their real estate. I think that they don't have it because they don't know. I don't think they don't have it because they don't want it, or they don't want to save money or leave no pressure to the family. I think that they don't have it because they don't know. So thank you for having me, because by being able to help us with this awareness campaign to tell people about an affordable estate plan and being able to save money. If you're listening to this on this Superfans podcast, you can use Superfans and get a discount. It's limited to the first 10 people. So the first 10 people will be able to get a discount of the estate plan, and we're going to do a one-on-one. And if you're lucky enough, I'll be able to be the one that'll help you. And
Yeah, cool. Well, since you brought that up, how can people find you, Oscar, and get a hold of you?
Yeah, the best way to get a hold of me is to call the 805-909-4689 if you have estate questions, or you can get a transfer. You can, I'll give you my cell numbers, 805-290-6044. I recommend that you text me first. Hey, do you have a minute? I have an estate planning question, and I'll call you back as soon as I got a minute. Or go to the website, which is estate.prep.com. We're here to help. Here's the only thing that I can tell you. It's never too late unless it's tomorrow or yesterday, because those days don't even exist yet. So the best time is now.
Excellent advice, Oscar. Thank you so much for taking your time to being on the Business Superfans podcast. Great insights for our listeners regarding estate planning, especially if you're a solopreneur, a small to mid-sized business owner, or just someone that's got a family. Estate planning is very important. Like we talked earlier before, going through probate is not a fun thing, and you're contributing to the economy versus your own economy. So thank you so much, Oscar. Very much appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Business Superfans podcast. If you found today's conversation valuable, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave us a review, and share this episode with someone who could use these powerful insights to level up their business. Remember, creating Business Superfans isn't just about your customers. It's about fostering genuine, impactful connections across your entire business ecosystem. When you invest in those relationships, success doesn't just happen, it accelerates. Until next time, I'm your host, Freddie D. Let's keep building superfans, creating unstoppable momentum, and driving your business toward extraordinary success. See you in the next episode.
We hope you took away some useful knowledge from today's episode of the Business Superfans podcast. The path to success relies on taking action. So go over to businesssuperfans.com and get your hands on the book if you haven't already. Join the Accelerator community and take that first step in generating a team of passionate supporters for your business. Join us on the next episode as we continue guiding you on your journey to achieve flourishing success in business.